Next up, we have Antonio Piraino, who's been contributing to the Rust project in various forms since 2018, and he's going to tell us about contributing to the Rust compiler with little to no code. Give it up for Antonio.
Hi, hello everyone. Feels a little bit strange to be again on stage. I think the last time it was many years ago, before the pandemic, and I remember I brought to the stage, this project when you start learning a language and you are proud to build up a project, an amateur-ish project, but it works. So it was a talk like that. Many years many years later, I am again on stage and in a different role. So, but what is my role? What do I do? Do I write? Do I? I don't know. I'm in the Rust project. I'm in the compiler team, but do I write patches? Not really. Not in the main repository. Do I do reviews? Not really. Do I understand what Michael said before? Not much. But yeah, there is other aspects of contribution in the Rust project that are equally important and necessary, even if not always really visible. So I started, as Adam said, a few years ago with small meetups, conferences. It was really fun organizing conferences. And then I got into this working group, the Prioritization working group, which is a notification group that basically keep an eye on regressions. So when the compiler does something that it did not, we receive a notification, there are issues, and then we see what it's about. So is it bad? Is it not? Should be solved or will be an accepted regression? So this kind of work is ongoing and ensures that when the Rust compiler is released, there are there is nothing that we want to slip into the stable compiler. Then all the contributors were merged into the compiler team, so I was kind of merged into the compiler team since then. So if there is a sentence that kind of represents me, it's this assigning priority, because this is the core of the prioritization. When we look at these regressions, we have to understand how important are they or not. And I don't know how many comments like this I posted, maybe more than I can remember. And so this is not the only thing that I do. There are other things that are ancillary work to the Rust compiler. All these acronyms are basically just tools that the compiler team gives to contributors and newcomers to interact with the team itself. So if you have a proposal, if you want to get in contact with the team, if you have an idea, the major change proposals, RFC, are all tools that anyone can use to get in contact with us. So the thing is that there are many proposals, so sometimes they need all to be followed up. Sometimes they are forgotten, sometimes the author is not replying, sometimes we as a Rust project should provide an answer. This is a follow-up that needs to be done in order to keep things going. Another interesting thing that I do is monitoring patches, incoming patches. This is a bit embarrassing for me, but I have a markdown file in which I do bookkeeping of the pull requests that are waiting on reviews. I have a tool inside the triage bot, which you are probably all familiar with, that generates a list of pull requests that are waiting on reviews, sorted by the oldest. And using an advanced tool called grep, I compare this list with this bookkeeping file, and I keep note when and who was mentioned about this pull request. Why cannot this work be completely automated? Why do I do this in part manually? Because there is one thing that is that I really care about working while working in the Rust project. We have, on one hand, a finite amount of resources. Contributors, they have their time. They can allocate only a finite amount of time, and so I see them as a precious asset of the project. On the other hand, we have open gates, and we have like an infinite stream of incoming patches. And on the other hand, I understand that external contributors have expectations. I submit a patch, I expect something to happen in a reasonable amount of time. So there is this kind of tension between reviewing patches and doing them in a reasonable amount of time. So what I'm trying to do is to keep these pull requests being reviewed, being active, but not stress too much our contributors, because otherwise I can understand that it can become a bit annoying. Then we have then we have the meetings. The compiler team has regular meetings. We have a weekly triage. We have design meetings, which are depending on the topic. We review the past week. We review if there are regressions. What's the situation? Are we close to the release? Do we have things to backport? Do we have unattended regressions? Who can do what? So this is more or less the place where where I, on one hand, summarize. I get input from the contributors if I have questions, and I try to summarize everything in a easily digestible way for the people attending the triage meeting, so that we can have a glance of what's the situation. We have the design meetings, of course, because when there are some topics that are more beefy, they have more substance, we need to dedicate some focused time on that. So these meetings have to be discussed, people get to be invited, and so on. This is also part of my work. Of course, there are documentation, there are small patches. I contribute a bit of patches here and there on the triage bot, for example, or sometimes on the tool that we use to bisect code, the cargo bisect, which is, I guess, some of you are also familiar with. And now we have our documentation thanks to the work of David. We have the work also on the Forge. So now it's centralized with the documentation of the library team and the language team. And this is important because we have one place for everything. So I kind of see my job a bit like this power generator in a basement that does work, maybe not visible work, but still important, because a power generator gives electricity and lights to the other room where the party happens. And so I feel kind of part of this group of people working inside of the Rust project, doing work I would define fundamental work, but not very visible. Like you're probably familiar with the infrastructure team, which really literally keeps the lights on. And then there are also another group of people doing triage of issues and other pull requests. So we are kind of, I would say, a swarm of little bees going around flower to flower and trying to keeping things tidy and cross-pollinate everything. So what do I see as a next step for my work? This prioritization working group has never been exactly what I've been doing since ever. So learning from the language team, they have this operation sub team, which is TC. And I thought that we could also have this kind of formalization of the work. Because looking at how the language team works in this respect and how the work done by TC, I think it's a really good thing to have. So a couple of days ago, this pull request was merged. So there will be a little change of names, and we will have also this operations team, which should be the entry point for the kind of work that I'm doing. We will add some more automation. That's a continuous process. Of course, everything can be improved and automated. So learning from also the documentation team, the RustDoc team, they, for example, look at the backports, at the regressions, at the patches fixing regressions on Zulip instead of doing that synchronously during the meetings. I like this way of doing this kind of this work, so we will have soon also in the compiler team. So as you can see, I kind of look at how other teams work, and I try to see if there is something that we can bring also into the team compiler to improve our processes. The other advantage I see is that if we as a project try to have a more standardized way of working and replicate the same workflows and the same processes across teams, this is an advantage for the project itself, because from an external point of view, I am outside of the project, I look at the project and I see that more or less teams work the same way. This is an ongoing work, so I think I want to do more of this in the next months, trying to get the teams maybe look like a bit more cohesive. So that's more or less what I wanted to do. That's a very short talk, my 15 minutes of fame. I just wanted to say that, of course, my work is not in a void. It's not happening in a void. Without every one of you here, it wouldn't be possible, because I really don't have context about everything. It's impossible. So I often have to rely on each of you when there is something that I don't understand, that's something that is a bit obscure. So this is really a community work, and I'm really grateful for each one of you helping me doing this, because otherwise it wouldn't be really possible. So if this work sounds interesting, if you would like to know more, just get in touch with me. You know my handle on Zulip. And one last thing I would say is that since we have this anniversary of the 10th year of the release of the Rust project, let's not forget to party and fail.
Thank you, Antonio, and thank you for all the work that you do. That was great.